The jungle was already alive before the first shot was fired. Thick fog clung to the trees like a living thing, muffling sound and swallowing light as the army unit advanced in a tight formation. Leaves crunched under combat boots, and insects scattered as rifles sliced through the green darkness. Captain Raza raised his fist, signaling a halt. The radio crackled softly lost patrols, missing villagers, and bodies torn apart near the river. Whatever had happened here wasn't natural. The smell hit them next, a sour mix of rot and wet earth drifting through the undergrowth. Men tightened their grips on rifles, fingers hovering near triggers, sweat running down faces despite the cool mist. The first zombie emerged without warning. It stumbled from behind a tree, skin gray and torn, uniform scraps still clinging to its decaying body. Its jaw hung loose, teeth stained dark with dry blood. Before anyone could shout, it charged. A rifle barked, then another. Bullets tore through the thing's chest, spraying blood across leaves and bark, but it kept coming until a final shot shattered its skull and dropped it into the mud. Silence followed, heavy and unnatural. Then the jungle answered with movement. Shapes began appearing between the trees, dozens of them, crawling, limping, dragging themselves forward with broken limbs and hunger-filled eyes. "All units, fire at will!" Rasa shouted, and hell broke loose. Gunfire exploded through the jungle, echoing off trunks and hills. Muzzle flashes lit the fog as soldiers unleashed controlled bursts into the advancing horde. Zombies fell in heaps, bodies jerking as bullets ripped through them, blood soaking the forest floor until it became slick and dark. Some kept coming even with half their faces gone, arms torn away by gunfire, driven only by instinct. Soldiers switched targets quickly, aiming for heads, shouting warnings, reloading under pressure. Screams, human and inhuman, blended into a single roar of chaos as the dead surged forward in waves. When the rifles ran dry, the fight turned brutal and close. A zombie lunged at Corporal Imran, knocking him into the mud. Its fingers clawed at his armor as its mouth snapped inches from his face. Imran screamed and jammed his combat knife upward, driving it again and again into the creature's skull until it collapsed on top of him, dead weight and dripping blood. Nearby, another soldier hacked through a zombie's neck with a machete, the blade sticking momentarily before he ripped it free, spraying dark red across his uniform. The jungle floor became a battlefield of bodies, broken branches, and pools of blood reflecting flashes of gunfire. The horde pressed harder, forcing the unit backward toward a narrow clearing. Raza grabbed a grenade from his vest and hurled it into the densest cluster of undead. The explosion tore through them, bodies thrown into the air like broken dolls, limbs scattered across vines and tree trunks. The blast shook the ground, sending birds screaming into the sky. Smoke and debris filled the air, and when it cleared, the clearing was carpeted with torn corpses twitching weakly before falling still. But even that wasn't enough. More shapes emerged from the fog, drawn by sound and violence, eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. They moved deeper into the jungle, retreating while fighting, every step a struggle. Zombies dropped from trees, having climbed silently above them. One landed on a soldier's back, biting into his shoulder before being blown apart by a shotgun blast at point-blank range. Blood rained down, mixing with rain that had begun to fall, turning the ground into red sludge. Radios crackled with broken messages and screams as squads became separated. The jungle seemed endless, closing in, feeding the dead and trapping the living. At the riverbank, the final stand began. The water ran fast and dark, already stained red as bodies fell into it. Rasa ordered the last of their explosives planted along the bank. Soldiers formed a line, backs to the river, firing nonstop as the zombies charged through the trees in one massive wave. Faces were empty, mouths wide, hands reaching. The smell of decay was overpowering. Rifles overheated, barrels smoking, soldiers switching to pistols, knives, fists. One by one, men fell, dragged screaming into the horde, their voices cut short beneath clawing hands. "Detonate!" Rasa yelled, diving toward the water. The explosion lit the night like a second sun. Fire tore through the jungle, ripping trees apart and erasing the front line of zombies in a storm of flame and flying debris. The shockwave threw Rasa into the river, knocking the breath from his lungs. When he surfaced, ears ringing, the jungle was burning. Bodies, human and undead, floated past him, carried by the current. The screams had stopped. Only crackling fire and rain remained. As dawn broke, smoke hung over the jungle like a funeral shroud. The remaining soldiers crawled out of the river, wounded, blood-soaked, and exhausted. Behind them, the jungle smoldered, silent at last. Thousands of corpses lay scattered among the trees, their threat ended in fire and steel. Rasa looked back once, face hardened by what he had seen. The jungle had been cleansed, but at a terrible cost. As helicopters thundered overhead, coming to extract the survivors, he knew one thing for certain. The dead had been stopped, but the jungle would never forget the blood spilled in its depths.